The rain is pouring down like all the souls you send here.
Close your eyes with me.
Coming to this earth
And simply breathe.
to find healing. Mother Earth takes in the rain.
Be present in this moment.
Like your heart takes my voice. Let us free each other with our prayers, with our voice.
Breathing in for 4.
And I'm coming.
Hold. And slowly release.
And I'm coming. And I'm coming.
Allow your breath to simply, naturally
And I'm
flow.
coming.
Welcome everybody to the masterclass, How to Heal Through Shadow Work and Rise in Consciousness. It's such a pleasure to be here with you, and I want to say thank you for showing up. Tell yourself thank you for showing up for you, okay? I have a lot of information I want to share in this class, and so I'm hoping to keep it just over an hour. I'm hoping not to run a little bit too far past that, but again, I do have a lot of content to share, and I like to go with the flow, so it may be a little bit longer, but that's why you're here. You're here to gain as much knowledge as possible, right? So I encourage you to take notes, get some paper, get a pen, your journal, your notebooks, whatever it is, but take notes, take lots of notes so you don't miss out on anything. So let's get started. My name is Tracy Isidore. I am a certified spiritual coach, and I've been on my own healing journey for well over 25 years. And so a lot of people ask me, well, what is a spiritual coach? And when we travel on a journey of self-help or self-improvement, personal development, when we travel on it long enough, it will always become a spiritual journey, simply because the process of healing requires you to move inward. And as you move inward, you really start to learn a lot about self. You start to realize that you're more than this physical shell, that you are actually spirit, you are being, you are energy, living with a physical body here in a physical world. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the class, but this is the reason why I classify myself as a spiritual coach. Okay, so today I'm committed and on a mission to help people heal from their inner pain, from the burden, the emotional pain, the feelings that they're avoiding, to finally move past it and heal as long as they're ready. Okay, you must be ready for or to see success along your healing journey. And so we have to ask ourselves some certain questions to really make sure that we're ready. The first question you want to ask yourself is, are you ready to heal from your negative emotions? Are you ready to face them, to heal past them, to get off that emotional roller coaster? Are you ready to gain control over your mind, to stop that hamster wheel? It takes one thought to snowball into a huge motion picture that you can get lost in for periods of time, whether it's for hours or weeks or days, or, everything starts from a thought and then it connects to your emotions. So you have to be ready to move past that. Are you wanting to finally feel peace within on a consistent basis? Not from time to time, not happy one moment and then falling down to emotional funk, but on a continual, consistent basis. Are you ready to surrender and let go? Are you ready to be honest with yourself about the healing that really needs to be faced and worked through in order to heal? Are you ready to increase your knowledge? You have to be open, have an open mind to accept new information, new knowledge that might go against your current perspective, your current belief systems. And are you ready to do the work? Nobody can do this for you. Your healing requires you to do the work for you. As a coach, I can guide you, I can support you, I can help hold you accountable, I can lead you in the right direction on a path that is proven to work, but you must do the work. So my understanding of everything I'm going to be sharing with you in this masterclass is from my own experience. It's not from theory. This is not information that I learned and knowledge I've gained, and now I'm here to do a masterclass. I have lived through it. And so with that said, I want to share with you my story briefly, just so you understand why I'm able to be here today for this masterclass. I was born and raised into a home of alcoholism for the first 19 years of my life. Both my mother and father were alcoholics, and I faced physical abuse and emotional abuse. And so when my father was more physically abusive, and we left my father when I was about 5 years old. And that's when my mother became an alcoholic and was very emotionally abusive for years. And so living with a single mother on welfare in a toxic environment, struggling to get ahead, it was very challenging. And it led me to become very angry, very resentful. I faced major depression and I had suicidal thoughts for a very long time. I didn't want to be here. I didn't understand why I was faced with this life journey of so much pain, and I just wanted to escape. And so my emotions and my mind were very overwhelmed. I had a bad attitude, and I was trapped in my own negative habits and limited beliefs, although I didn't even understand it in the moment. And so what changed was when I moved out on my own at 19. I finally was living in an environment that was peaceful. And I thought at that time that, that's all I needed was to be in a place of peace. But what happened was I was then faced with the overwhelming emotions and thoughts and pain and emotional burden that I was masking and pushing down for so many years. You see, when you're living in an environment that's toxic, it's easy to create coping mechanisms to avoid what you need to face, to avoid those feelings, to avoid that hurt within, because you have to deal with all the external toxic environment that you are living in. But then when you're faced and now placed into a peaceful environment, those feelings and those emotions and those thoughts don't go away. They're actually amplified. So it was like a slap in the face. And I realized that I was a lot more screwed up than what I even realized I was. And so what was my driving force was just a knowing that there had to be a better way. And you might be thinking, okay, yeah, Tracy, there has to be a better way. We all know that. It's pretty obvious. On the surface level, it sounds really simple. But I'm talking about a deep knowing that I had in my heart and in my soul that I could not and would not live with these feelings, with these emotions, with these thoughts, with this pain for the rest of my life. I knew I couldn't do that. I knew there had to be a better way. And I didn't know how I was going to heal. I didn't know what I was going to do to heal. I didn't know who to turn to. But I just knew that somehow, some way, something had to give. And that's what drove me. And so at 19, at one of the companies I was working for, I was given this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You've probably heard of it. It's quite common, quite popular. It's by Stephen R. Covey. And this book, although it's not in the realm of self-healing, it's in the realm of personal development. And it teaches you the difference between being independent and interdependent. And so if you don't know what interdependent is, let's take a look at independent. Independent says, oh, I can do it on my own. I'm strong. I don't need help. I've got this. And we have to understand that we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And it's better to work on your strengths, to strengthen your strengths, and get assistance and help from other people who can help you in the areas that you're weak. Other people's strengths that are your weaknesses. And that's when you work together and you create a win-win situation. You work interdependently, understanding that you cannot do it on your own. And it's okay to know that you can't do it on your own. It's okay to get help. And so as a coach, my job is to work interdependently with you, to help you, to guide you, to support you, to hold you accountable, and to lead you in the right direction. And that's what I learned with this book. So at 21, a couple years later, I was working at a salon and I was given the book Beyond Potential by Steve Stefano. He is the founder of Joico. And this book is in the realm of self-healing. And this book is what started my healing journey. This book changed so much for me at that period of time in my life. At that time, I was still angry. I was still resentful. I blamed my mom. I blamed my dad. I blamed my family. I blamed God. I was angry at God. I actually stopped believing in God because I couldn't understand why I would come here into this world and have this experience, this painful experience. And so it just added to my anger. But when I read this book, I started to believe again. I started to have some faith again. And I remember telling myself specifically that I'm not going to put any faith and belief on anybody outside of my own self. I'm going to simply just believe in me, have faith in me. And again, I didn't know how I was going to heal. I didn't know where I was going to turn to, who I was going to turn to. I just simply kept it simple and said, you know what, I'm just going to believe and have faith and take it from there. So what happened is I became hooked on knowledge. From this one book, it motivated me to learn more and gain new knowledge. And I read and I read and I read. I think I've read well over like 50 books. I've bought audio programs and all different types of programs and books to help me in my healing journey. Spent thousands and thousands of dollars on these programs, but it led to another problem. I was gaining all this knowledge, but I wasn't applying it into my life. And that is the key. Remember, you have to do the work to see results. And so knowledge is wonderful, but it is also completely useless if you're not going to use it, if you're not going to apply it. And so once I started doing the work and I made my should do's a must do by doing the work on a consistent basis, everything began to change. Slowly, day by day, step by step, but I started to actually see results. I started to feel results. I noticed a change within myself, and I noticed a change in my external conditions. And so today, I am so proud to say that I have healed from my trauma, from my childhood, from the damage that was happening within my own emotions and my own mind and my own feelings based on my circumstances. And this is what led me here, and it gives me the ability to be here on this masterclass. Now, with that said, it doesn't mean that I still don't face challenges. I still don't face obstacles. I do. That's inevitable. We cannot escape that. Part of being here in this physical world is to learn and to grow and to expand. And the obstacles and the challenges are part of the process. So it's a matter of healing from trauma, healing from past experiences, so you can face those challenges and those obstacles with a different perspective because you have healed. Okay. So there are 3 reasons why you continue to face your inner battle. Number 1 is avoidance. Number 2 is inconsistency. And number 3 is your belief systems. So if we take a look at avoidance, no, that's not me. I don't have that problem. I'm good. I don't need help. Denial, denial, denial. This is at a place of pride, which we'll talk about in a moment. Avoidance will not make your emotions, your feelings, the thought process go away. You're just stuffing it down. You're avoiding it. You're pushing it further into your subconscious, and it will continue to rise up when you're triggered by a certain person, situation, circumstance, experience, event. And so avoiding is just masking the problem. When we're in a place of avoidance, this is where we create coping mechanisms to avoid what we know we need to face. See, people by human nature, we do things that bring us pleasure. We avoid things that cause us pain. Common sense, right? Most times We're doing things that bring us pleasure that we shouldn't be doing, and we're avoiding the things that we know we need to be doing. And so with shadow work, you have to face what you're avoiding. There's no other way around it. In order to heal, you have to face what you're avoiding. Otherwise, it's always going to linger there. You're always going to be triggered, and you're always going to avoid it. And so when we actually face it, yes, it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but you have to be willing to feel a little bit uncomfortable in order to create comfort. You have to be willing to step into the darkness to see light in your life. And this is what shadow work is about. Inconsistency. It's just like if you're trying to lose weight and become healthy, you have to be consistent with your eating patterns, with your healthy eating, and your exercise in order to see a difference. Otherwise, it's not going to work. The same thing happens with self-healing. You have to be consistent with meditation, with your self-healing practices, just as you are with your self-care practices, with getting your hair done, with getting your nails done, with getting a pedicure, with, taking a bubble bath and doing the things that you like to do for you just to relax and unwind. Add your self-healing into that routine and be consistent at it. So many times people tell me, oh, I can't stop thinking, oh, I can't sleep at night. You can't sleep at night because your mind's going. Yeah, my mind's going. I can't stop these thoughts. Well, you need to meditate. Oh, I tried that. It's so hard. All these thoughts come in. I'm just not good at it. You have to be consistent. Meditation is not going to be easy in the beginning, simply because you will become aware that there's actually way more thoughts than you even realized. It takes time. It's a process, and you start slow, you start small, and you build. But you have to be consistent to see results. Okay. Number 3 is your belief systems. Your belief systems have been conditioned and influenced upon you from the time that you were born. They have been formed through the people who have been influential in your life, your parents, whoever you're around growing up that had a big role to play in your life, from your conditions, your experiences. Your belief systems can shift and change depending on who you spend your time around most. Okay. Who we surround ourselves with, we become like. You've probably heard that before. And it shapes our belief systems. And so our belief systems can change, but your belief systems will reflect into your life. So what you see before you is a product of what you believe. If you believe, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have what it takes, I can't do that, no one's ever going to love me, people don't like me, I'm always being judged, then that's what you're going to experience in your life, because that is the vibration and the energy that you're putting out to the universe. It's law of attraction, and it's going to manifest into your life. Manifestation works in both ways, in the positive and the negative. Manifestation is always happening, but it's based on your belief systems, which determines your vibrational energy. And so when we learn to shift and correct and change our belief systems, everything in our external conditions will also begin to shift and change. So it's very important to be honest with yourself about where you are right now. Remember, you have to be honest with self. And forget about where you were last week, a month ago, years ago. Where are you today? Shadow work is about diving into your shadows, but it's also about assessing where you are now, right now, and every moment as you move forward. Okay. I want to first take a look at the human consciousness before we get into shadow work. Okay. So I learned the human consciousness levels and the vibrational energy for each level by Dr. David R. Hawkins. And he spent well over 20 years researching, calibrating. Millions of calibrations had been done, testings on test subjects of all walks of life to determine each level of human consciousness in connection with the vibrational energy that matches it. Okay, so it's very important to understand and begin researching each individual level, the characteristics, the attitude, the behavior, the thought process, the emotions that go with each level. That is for connected with shame, guilt, apathy, grief. Okay, these 4 levels at the bottom are the lowest levels of energy. It's the heaviest levels. It's the place where depression lives. It lives in a place of pure resistance, and it's purely driven by ego. The mind is very loud at this level of energy. You feel really heavy. You have no energy to really want to face life and face the world. And so, again, at this place, it's a place of pure resistance. Now, before that, above that is fear, anger, desire, and pride. And these levels are still in a place of resistance. They continue to be driven by ego. The ego is still loud, but the energy is a little bit higher. This is where you're able to function in life. And anxiety is a major problem here at these levels of human consciousness. Now, you right now are at a place of pride, and you're at the doorstep of courage. This is why you're here in this masterclass. And pride can really feel good simply because most likely you have already healed from maybe some severe depression or severe anxiety, but there's still those emotions, there's still those feelings, your mind's still going, and you still need some deeper healing to move past it once and for all, to be rid of it for good. And so that's why pride feels good, because you think, well, I used to face major depression and, I got myself out of it and it feels really good, but you're still triggered. There's still moments, there's still experiences, there's still certain people that will trigger you to fall back down into maybe guilt or fear or anger or shame for periods of time before you rise back up into a place of pride where you kind of feel happy again. This is the emotional roller coaster that we live at a place where we need healing. And so we never really live at one place of human consciousness. We toggle in between different levels depending on the circumstances and situations. So I want to share with you a really quick video that really illustrates how you move through the levels of human consciousness. And when we come back, we'll take a look at it, and then I'll explain rising up even higher into the human consciousness. This is quite funny. I enjoy this video.
Uh-oh.
Denial is a place of pride.
It's no big deal. It's probably not even quicksand. I'm gonna have a good laugh about this tonight with the guys.
Sliding down to anger.
Well, this is just perfect. Stupid quicksand. Stupid jungle. I want to bite someone in the face. Mother. Ah, that stupid jungle.
Bargaining is a place of desire.
Are you there, God? It's me, Giraffe. Listen, if you would just give me a mulligan on this quicksand thing, I promise, no more peeing on your shorter creatures. What, you get a deal?
Sliding down into a depression. Moving up to a false acceptance.
You know something? I'm cool with this. I bet heaven has all the tender leaves I can eat, and everyone gets their own Slurpee machine. Yeah, take me, sweet death. I await your loving embrace. What? I think I hit the bottom.
Okay, so let's go back to the human consciousness and just, review what happened with this draft. He started in denial, which is pride. Remember I said avoidance is pure denial, and it is a place of pride. I don't have a problem. I'm good. This isn't happening, whatever. And then he slid down into anger for the situation. As he started to really think about the situation he was in, it started making him really angry. And that anger had him rise up into a place of desire, but an unhealthy desire. He started bargaining. Oh God, please get me out of this. Desire is your wants, right? And so there's unhealthy wants and there's healthy wants in desire. Desire can actually have you rise up into a place of courage, or it can have you slide down into a depression like what happened. He went from bargaining and slid down into a depression. Now, because the draft primarily is at a place of pride, he didn't stay in a place of depression for a long period of time. He didn't get stuck there for long periods. And so it had him move up into a false place of acceptance. And I say false because this is actually what I call a spiritual bypass. And when you are fooling yourself that you've actually accepted what is or what was, you are still at a place where you can be triggered and you can fall right back down. And that's what happened. It was a false place of acceptance. And then he was like, oh, fuck. And he fell right back down into a lower state of human consciousness. And so when we're at a true place of acceptance, we have fully healed. We have fully forgiven and have accepted what was and what is. And it takes courage to reach that place. Okay, so like I said, you're at a place of pride, you're on the doorstep of courage. And I say that because when we're at a place of courage, we're actually starting to do the work. We have the courage to feel a little bit uncomfortable to create that forever comfort. We have the courage to meditate on a daily basis, to face the thoughts, to face the emotions, to go through the shadow work. You're finally fed up once and for all, and you're saying, yes, Tracy, I am ready. That's when you're at a place of courage. And so as you begin to do the work and you're consistent, you will begin to gain control over your emotions and over your mind. And that's when you're at a place of neutrality. You're not reacting like you did before. You're not triggered as you were before. And so as you begin to continue your healing journey, continue to be consistent, you will rise up into a place of willingness where you're willing to do more. You want more. You're starting to see the results. You're starting to see your belief system shift and you're starting to notice a difference in your life. And so you want more. You're willing to do more. And so you step up your game at a place of willingness. And once you step up your game, you reach to a true place of acceptance where all the dots start to connect. And you finally can forgive. You can finally see things from a different perspective where you can actually finally heal. Okay. Now, above acceptance is reason and love. I like to call it divine love. And in my coaching, I help people to reach a place of divine love. That is my goal and my intention with working with people with spiritual healing and spiritual coaching is to get them up to a place of divine love. Now, from courage to reason is where the ego starts to soften up. It's not so loud. And you start to really connect with your energy, with your inner self, with your being, with your spirit. This is where alignment starts to begin and you don't have so much resistance built within. And this is why you're starting to see a shift in your life before you, because you're moving out of resistance and you're moving into alignment. Okay. Above love is peace, joy, and enlightenment. And these levels takes a serious dedication. Not very many people reach these levels, although it is possible. But again, serious dedication has to be in practice and in place to reach these higher levels. When we're at a place of reason, reason is a place where you crave more knowledge. You're starting to understand yourself as human and as being. We're called human beings for a reason. Your human self is your physical self. Your being is your energy. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But you will start to understand that, and it will become a spiritual journey when you're at acceptance on the doorstep of reason. And when you're at the doorstep of reason, you want more information, you want more knowledge, you crave more, you have this incredible wonder, and you just want more knowledge, information. And that's at reason. And when you start to absorb that information, you start to gain that, and you're still willing to do the work, you're still gaining control and have control over your emotions in your mind, you still have courage to keep moving forward, you will rise up into a place of love. And at a place of love, this is where you understand on a profound level the word namaste. You understand the word oneness. And namaste is thrown around in memes and it's just used so much from a lot of people who don't truly understand it at its most profound level because they're not at a place of love. When you say namaste to somebody, you understand you're at a place of acceptance and reason, and you understand at your core what's within their core. You understand that it is the same as yours. You're able to look into another person's eyes and see at their core the beauty, the pureness, the oneness. Okay, so it takes time to reach here. And at these places, you're no longer triggered. You have healed completely from here. And so when we reach a place of love, we now toggle in between courage and love. We are living in alignment. We continue our healing journey. We understand that it's continual and forever. The Japanese have a word called kaizen, which means that your healing and self-improvement journey is forever. It's not like, okay, I'm healed, I'm done, no more healing, I'm good. No, it's forever. My goal through this masterclass is to help you heal from trauma, heal from the emotions you're avoiding, so you can reach up into these levels and continue your journey of healing. We will forever be growing and expanding. Okay, so don't think that it's just, you're done, it's over, and you're good. That's where we have a spiritual bypass. That's where you're at a false place of acceptance. Just know it gets better. Although the healing journey is continual, it gets better and better and better. Okay, so these are the levels of human consciousness. And when I made this connection and I really learned about it, and I realized it's making so much sense in connection with my shadow work journey that I was on, it made me connect the dots a lot faster. It helped me to understand others as I began to understand my own self. And it helps so much and just takes away a lot of confusion when you're on the healing journey. Okay, so let's take a look at shadow work, the first step. And before I get into step 1 of shadow work, I want to just explain what shadow work is. This is another word that's been floating around a lot through the internet, and a lot of people have confusion, like, what is shadow work? Shadow work is simple. It is the process of facing the emotions and the thoughts and the feelings that you have been avoiding so you can create an understanding and heal. Instead of falling down that rabbit hole when you're triggered and falling into a lower state of human consciousness where you could be experiencing shame and guilt and fear or anger for periods of time, and you're in that emotional funk, and then you start masking and creating coping mechanisms to get out of it, it's a slippery slope. It's an emotional roller coaster. It is overwhelming, and we're not doing that with shadow work. Shadow work is intentionally moving into those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts, those memories to create understanding. You're moving in with a positive intention, a positive objective to learn and to understand, so you can make a connection and make sense of it all, so you can have a healing experience. Okay? When we move into shadow work, it's almost like you're taking a step back from self. You're moving in as the observer. You don't want to get lost in those feelings and emotions and have you so overwhelmed that you're, depressed, or you're in an emotional and, you're crying like crazy and you just don't know how to get out of it, and you're bargaining and you're like, please God, get me out of this. No, you want to move in. You're going to have those feelings. It's going to be a little overwhelming. It's going to be a little uncomfortable because you are facing it. Like I said, you have to face it and move past it. But because you're moving in with an intention that's positive, with an objective to heal, with an objective to actually create understanding without judgment, without criticism, simply understanding. That is your objective, to simply create understanding. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so the first step of shadow work is about asking the right questions to get to the root cause. We're trying to get to the root cause of the feelings, of the emotions, of what happened in your life. And so a lot of times we ask ourselves the why questions. Why is this happening to me? Why do I feel like this? Why do they always hurt me? Why can't they understand me? Why do they want to cause me pain? Why can't they accept what they're doing? Why can't they accept that they're hurting me? Why? If this resonates with you, and you find yourself asking why questions, I want you to stop yourself immediately as soon as you hear yourself asking a why question. Why questions will limit yourself at a great capacity. You want to stretch yourself. You want to expand your mind to be able to gain more understanding through shadow work. And why questions is just going to shut that right down. So stop asking why questions. Take it out of your questions, take it out of your vocabulary. Once you hear yourself say why, stop it right away. Stop it and be present. Shadow work is about asking the right questions. You want to ask what questions, how questions, who questions. What, how, and who questions will allow your mind to open and expand. So with step 1 of shadow work, you're going to ask yourself a question, one question at a time, and sit with it. Sit with it, clear your mind, find a place that's quiet, maybe light some candles, light some incense. Don't play any music because that's going to be distracting and it's going to take you off track. Make sure it's quiet. Make sure it's a place where you're alone. Get your notebook, get some paper. You're going to be writing. And ask yourself the question, clear your mind, and sit with it. And what will happen is the memories will start to come up, the emotions. You're going to start to gain details, and you want to write down everything. Write down as much detail as you possibly can that you're receiving as you ask that question. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 questions that you can start your shadow work on. And these are just 5 questions. These are very powerful questions. But I want to encourage you to stretch yourself to ask even more questions. Think of even more questions that you could ask yourself, even more what questions, how questions, who questions. Okay. Now, also, as I go through these questions, you're going to probably be saying to yourself, maybe, okay, Tracy, these are really simple. I know these answers. And of course, yes, you know these answers because you know your life experience. You've been on your journey. You can come up with an answer right away, but that's not the goal. The goal is to stretch and expand yourself. Remember, you're going to ask the question, you're going to sit with it because you're going to get the surface level answer. Write it down, but sit with it. When you sit with it, you're going to come up with more details that has been suppressed for so long that's going to help you to begin making that connection. Okay. So I hope you have your pen and your paper and write this down. Number 1, what experiences did you have? Again, simple question. Write down your immediate answer. Sit with it. What experiences did I have? Clear the mind and allow those experiences to come up. Allow those memories to come up, those emotions, those thoughts, and start journaling, start writing down, document in detail what you're experiencing, those memories. If you're visual and you're seeing yourself in that moment, write down every single detail of that experience. Number 2, what situations within those experiences caused the pain that you're avoiding? Get crystal clear on those situations. When you take your time to sit with this question, there may be other situations that start to rise up that you have been suppressing. Document it, write it down, get clear, be detailed. Number 3, who was involved? Who was involved in those experiences? Who was involved in those situations? Write down every single person, whether they had a small part to play or a big part to play. Write down everyone who was involved within that situation. Number 4, and this one we're going to talk about. How is their perspective affecting your ability to heal? How has their perspective affected your ability to heal? So as you understand the levels of human consciousness, this plays an important role in this specific question. So as you begin to do your shadow work and you start saying, okay, yeah, I tend to fall down into a place of shame for periods of time because of this experience. And then I have a lot of anger within me, which has caused a lot of fear, which may be masking some guilt that I feel within. But what about the person who is involved in your situation? What levels of consciousness are they living at? Are they toggling in between? What was their life experience growing up, their traumatic experiences that caused them to live at their level of human consciousness that has then caused them to act in certain ways that has caused you pain? I hope you caught that. That was huge. When you can make that connection, you will take your healing to a whole other level. How has their perspective affected your ability to heal? When you make this connection, this is where forgiveness can really come into play. And as we know, forgiveness is for self, it's not for others. But really sit with this question. The last one is, how has your life influencers affected your habits and your belief systems? Your belief systems, remember, have stemmed from your experiences growing up. It has stemmed from the people who influenced you as you grew up, your parents or other people who had a huge role to play in your life. And so how has their belief systems shaped yours? How has their habits shaped your habits that you have today? Make that connection. Okay, so these are 5 questions for you to start with in your shadow work. And again, please stretch yourself to explore more questions beyond these 5. So step 2 is exploring where you are today, being honest where you are today in connection with your root cause, with the root pain that you're feeling within, right? So step 1 is your root cause, understanding your traumatic experiences, the painful situations, the influencing factors, and the people involved. Getting crystal clear on it, detailed as much as possible. Take your time with it. This is not something to be rushed. And the time that it takes to explore this is dependent upon your own life journey. We all have our own journey to live. We all have our own timing for healing. There is no specific time frame that you should be healed by. It all depends on the effort you put in, and it depends on your own path, okay? So you're going to connect it with today's pain, and this is step 2. Understanding and taking a step back from self to determine the exact emotions that you feel that you're avoiding, the thoughts that you think that snowball and you get lost into. How are your thoughts and your emotions connected to your root cause? Start to make that connection. What are the actions that you take that you should not be taking because you're avoiding what you need to face? What are the actions that you're not taking that you need to be doing? What are the things that you're saying, oh, I should be doing this, but you should be making it a must do on a consistent basis daily? What are the automatic reactions that you have? Do you lose your cool real quick? Do you snap real quick? Do you have road rage? Right? How do you react to certain situations? Who triggers those reactions? How does that connect to the root cause? How does that connect to the experiences you had? What are the negative habits and limited beliefs that create resistance within you? How are they connected from your root cause, from the people who influenced you? Shadow work is, again, it's all about exploring. When you're taking a look at step 2 in today's pain, this is where you're taking a step back from self. Okay? Step 1, root cause, is you sitting down in a quiet space and asking the right questions, stretching your mind, taking the time to sit with it to uncover more details. Step 2 is on a daily basis, learning to be aware of your attitude, your behavior, your thought process, your emotions, the words that come out of your mouth, the things you think in regards to certain situations or certain people. Be the watcher of self. As you be the watcher of self, and you've already done the root cause shadow work, and you may continue to do that, you'll start to piece things together. You'll start to make sense of everything. You will start to awaken, which will take you into step 3, is where you have to have an experience to heal. Healing happens in a specific experience. It doesn't happen here. This is the shadow work. Shadow work is setting up the stage for you to experience a healing moment. Okay, so what is an experience? What is a healing moment? That is those aha moments where you're like, holy crap, I get it now. Oh my God, it makes so much sense. You start to put the pieces together. And this is the moment where you heal. This is the moment where you rise up to a higher level of human consciousness. Now, keep in mind, aha moments can be so profound that you can easily fall into a false place of acceptance and have a spiritual bypass. I know this firsthand because I have had many, simply because I didn't have someone guiding me through my process. I had books, I had programs, but I didn't have someone to say, you know what, this is the steps you have to take. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the guidance. I felt alone on my journey, and I was doing it on my own. So when you have an awakening moment, know that there's more healing to do. Know that there's more awakening moments. There's more aha moments. There's more awakenings. It's not just one and then you're healed. There's many that will follow. But with each one that you have, you rise up and rise up and you rise up, meaning you're getting yourself out of a resistant state and you're moving yourself into a place of alignment because you're starting to make sense of everything. And as you make sense of everything, you're seeing things, the same situation, the same people that you once had a negative perspective on with new eyes. You're seeing things from a completely different perspective. This is a shift that happens. It's a paradigm shift. And once you have that shift, you no longer will fall back down to where you were. You forever remain there, but you need to keep going to have more and more and more. Okay, so this is the moment. Aha moments is where healing happens. It's not before. Like I said, shadow work is setting up the stage to have these moments. And I can't tell you where they'll happen, when they will happen, but they will happen when you're doing the shadow work. It's inevitable. Just as challenges and obstacles will come into your life, aha moments will happen. It's part of the process of shadow work as long as you're doing the shadow work. Okay, it sets up the stage. You line yourself up to have these moments. And please be patient. Don't sit around and wait. When am I going to have an aha moment? When is it going to happen? Just know that it will happen and spend more of your time focusing on the shadow work. If you put your focus here to understand, to explore, to connect the dots, and you have patience in the process, and you have trust and faith that these moments will happen, it will happen. And it will happen when you least expect it. It will happen just like that. You could be just randomly somewhere where you least expect it, and then all of a sudden something will trigger within you and you'll have this vision and it'll all make sense. And you're like, oh my God, this is what Tracy was talking about. And you'll understand that feeling of healing in that moment. Okay? So for shadow work to be successful, you must have an open mind. Again, be willing to gain knowledge and information that you currently don't have. Be willing to do the work. You have to do the work. There's no other way around it. No one can do it for you. You have to do the work daily. You must begin reconditioning negative habits and limited beliefs. They're not going to just go away by themselves. You have to do the work to recondition them. Your habits and your belief systems are like the clothes that you wear. They can be changed, and they will only define you if you allow it to define you. Okay? It's like other people's opinions. Other people's opinions will only make a matter in your life if you make it matter. Otherwise, other people's opinions are completely worthless. They're entitled to them, but they're worthless as long as you don't make it worthy in your life. Same thing for negative habits, limited beliefs. So there is a process that you have to go through on a consistent basis to begin shedding away the negative habits and replacing them with new, healthy, powerful ones that will move you into place of alignment. You must have the courage to be consistent, right? Remember, you're at pride and you're at the doorstep of courage. You have to say, yes, I'm going to make this a must do. I matter. Because I will tell you, when you make the decision to be consistent, to follow this path, by default, it will have such a wonderful impact on those most important to you in your life, your children, your husband, your wife, your family, your friends. And those people that cannot take it or don't resonate or are not on the same vibration, you'll start to see people leave your life. You have to trust the process. But if you want to be a better mother, if you want to be a better wife, if you want to be a better friend, work on you. Just by you working on you, you have automatically a better impact on them because your vibration is rising up. Your vibration is moving from resistance into alignment. So by default, you help those around you just simply by you helping you. I hope you got that. That was another huge golden nugget. And you also must have patience in the process. Remember, I can't tell you how, when, where that your awakening will happen, but as long as you have patience, as long as you do the work, as long as you have an open mind, as long as you have the courage and you start reconditioning self, it will happen, but it will happen in its own timing. And the timing's different for everybody. So you have to practice patience. This is, a lot of people have a hard time with patience, but this healing journey will help you to teach yourself patience. It truly is a virtue. So as I was mentioning, it can be very lonely on this journey. And I have given you the steps of shadow work. The steps are really simple. Make an effort, make a commitment to self, ask yourself the right questions, be aware of self, be the observer, take a step back and observe yourself every single day. Start to make the connection and you will have an aha moment and you will start your healing. And you will have another one and you will heal. Another one and rise up and rise up and rise up out of a resistance into alignment. That is the process. It's very simple. The hard part is actually doing it. The hard part is being consistent. The hard part is being patient in the process. Okay. And it can be very lonely because the people that you are around currently, they probably have their own healing that they need to do, and they may not be aware of it. They may be closed-minded and have these blinders on, and they're not willing to see a new perspective. And so because of that, it starts to become lonely because we start to heal, we start to awaken, we start to become aware that the people around us they need healing too. And that they're not really contributing. It's almost, you're starting to feel their resistance. And if you don't have a support system around you who understands you, you can feel alone. And I know firsthand. But with that said, it's still possible. You don't need to walk this journey alone. I'm a spiritual coach here to guide you, support you, hold you accountable, lead you in the right direction. It's important to have a surrounding of people who are traveling on a similar path, who understand you. This will make the journey so much easier, okay? So if you're ready to do the work, if you're ready to heal, I'm ready to walk with you each step of the way.